Hello guys, today we start where we left off the last time, and that was at the row schemack. We made it in Marvel's Designer. Now we have to optimize it like we did with everything else, and we'll do a little thing that I promised to show you. So let's say, let's go to geometry. Actually, let's go to polygroups. In polygroups, we do auto group with UV. We said in Marvel's Designer there was only one rectangle, right? That means there was only one polygroup. These edges are not their own polygroups because we didn't use cut and sew, we just did internal lines. Okay, now let's see. If you want to do, everything like we did so far, you can, but I'm going to do something different with this. I mean, if you don't want to, if you already have something that is on your mind, you just continue exactly the same as we did with pants and shirt. There's nothing different. But now I will do something different so I can teach you something. So first things first, going to geometry, crease polygroups. And then we will go to Z remesh, keep groups, although it's not important now because there's only one group. But put it down to, I don't know, 1. Smooth groups all the way down and zero mesh. Let's see, what do we get? It's probably gonna have like 1000, 2000. That's a bit too much for this, but it's okay. 2.5, told you. We could go lower. Let's go lower. 0.5. That's a bit too much for Shemak. Okay, 1.5k is good. Also, when you see things like this, that means that it's actually good for you because we only see the outside part, which is what we're supposed to see. But we see this inside part because it's twisted, you see? And it is not always good, but it's a stylistic choice. But if you want to see everything, like everything the way it is, you scroll down and you go into display properties and there's double. You click double-sided. This doesn't make it double-sided. Actually, this just makes the preview double-sided so you can see it. Every game that you make stuff for, even Skyrim, Fallout, whatever, they have their own double-sided faces. But you need to make sure that they're turned on in Nifscope or so on. But let's ignore that for now. Let's go to Z plugin, UV master, and polygroups unwrap. And we're going to export this as a low Shemak. Now you might wonder, why am I having this low when I didn't even do a high poly one? Well, it's going to make sense. It will all make sense. Let's go to Blender now. I have so many windows, so that's why it takes longer for everything to load. Let's import the Shemak we just made. It's a tutorial, low Shemak. It's here. We press del on our numpad, we zoom in, right click, shade smooth. Let's make sure that what we have here is actually good. I mean, do you see the way it looks? We can split it, but I don't know if we want to. Actually, let's not split it, because we will combine it with the shirt. You remember that shirt had space. If we would split it, it might look better, because we can fit more space, but I don't know if we should. Maybe let's split it, but we need to, you cannot split it like randomly here, right? If we would split it in half so we get the most out of space. Now this is one more thing that is really good to learn. Let's see where we split it. I would like to split it somewhere here. You see? See these spots? Now we need to find out where they are. Let's do this. Oh, maybe if we go to faces, it's easier to find it. It's obviously not here. Is it here? No. Is it here? Nope. Nope. Here? Nope. Here? No. Oh, it will be somewhere here. But not like this, like this. Oh, I think this is actually quite cool. Okay, this is good, this is good. So it's basically this part that we want to split. You see, it's somewhere in the middle, but I want it to be more in the middle. Okay, maybe a bit more. This. So this is what I'm doing. I told you this is too big. We cut it in half so we can fit it both on the right side. So let's do it. So we go into the edge loop and we hold the Alt and we left click. And then we go to U and we go to Mark Seam. A, U, unwrap. Now you see how much space it takes. And there's, but what did we sacrifice with it, you might think? There is always something that you have to sacrifice to get something else. Now, in our case, we cannot have like perfectly fitting texture. We will have repeating texture. But people will not notice where it's repeating because this seam line is hidden. It's covered by this. Do you understand? So it will make sense when we go into texturing. But this is probably the best thing we could do. Hide your UV seams as much as possible. This is one example of how you can do it. So this is, don't worry about this. I'm just checking if it has the material assigned to it. But what I want to do is first I will export it again as Shema Glow. But I want to tell you how can we combine this with the shirt so we have only one UV map or texture set. So we go into tutorial and we go low Shemag and we export it there. So now we will import our low poly shirt. Port obj. Where is it? Low shirt. Okay. Now, as we said, shirt has this and the Shemag, it has this. So what we do is we combine them both and you right click, join. And now you click A and you have two different, you see, we have it together, but we have this part, which is, how do you say, it is digging into it and we don't want it. So what I want to do is I want to rotate this part on x-axis by 180 degrees. So it's facing the other way. I'm trying to find a better way. Maybe I can even, let me see, which part is this? Which part is this? Okay, we can do the same thing with, we can do exactly the same thing with this as we did with this. We can split it in half so we can fit it better. So that's what we're gonna do. We have to do it that way. But first, select everything, UV, seams from island, so we can see where the seam is. So we have one seam there. We can make another seam here and hope that people won't notice it. But they will not care because they get much more higher quality than before. So we marked seam here and here. You always want to mark seam on the exact opposite side of this one because that means we're perfectly in the middle. So then what we can do is we can do U and unwrap. And now they look big, but they look big because I didn't want to unwrap them in the same time as all of this. But let's see what happens if I unwrap it in the same time. Oh, it's actually good. You can actually do it in the same time. This is decent, but it's very close. See, it's very close. And dithering might cause us issues, but I think we can fix it. So rotate on X by 180 so that we have a bit of space. We will also move this up a bit and we want to separate these just a tiny bit. I'm just moving them tiny bit away from each other just so dithering won't cause us problems. Maybe you can maybe we can scale them down a bit. When you scale down, you obviously lose some quality, but if losing quality means a mod that will work, it's okay, it's worth it. And now look at this. So you might say, okay, you joined them together, this is one texture set, and that is wrong. They're joined together, but they still use different sets. Now in Skyrim, what's the problem in Skyrim? I will show you this. I don't know, I'll find some random mod I made so I can explain this best to you. meshes. I don't know. I know on my own mods because it's I did so many of them that it's insane. Okay, let's try with this one, with the latest one. So let's save at the top. This is in Nifscope. You probably don't, if you're a beginner, you don't know this, but just listen to me as I explain to you. So you see this part. It is separate from this part, but they still can use the same UV. But if you have them joined together, if you have both of these together, you can only use one texture set. So look at this. Let's say metal top. You see this metal top. It's everything. Everything that is metal, I selected it as metal. You see, I can only do one texture set for it. There's no options. I cannot use two texture sets. So I cannot have those things joined together with different texture sets. Look, listen, I know it's confusing, but look at this. You see there's two texture sets here, and this is one object. It cannot work. I need to have one texture set on one object. That's the only way it works. Okay? Yeah, so now when you delete one of those, it's okay. And where do you do it? You see this little, I'll go back just so you don't lose me. See all the way down here, you have something called material. Material is telling you how many texture sets you have. Okay? So I don't need two texture sets for the reasons I told you. I have one object. I could split it in two. I could split it also into. I will do it. I will split it into also. But just so you can, because if you keep it as one object, there's also a problem, because every time people equip shirts, they will also equip Shemag, and we don't want it. We want people to be able to equip each part separately, but that they still use the same texture set, so we save space. So what do? We remove one of them. It doesn't matter which one. It's always double check this. If you make a mistake here and you forget it, you will find it out later when we do our texturing. You will notice this, and you can go back here and fix it. But look at this now. So you need to click assign just to make sure. I don't think you do, because there's only one left. But I always do it just in case. And this is not crossing the line, don't worry. But look at this now. So now they use a same texture set and their same object. I want to split them. How do I do it? You go into either vert or edge up here, and you click L. You hover over it and you click L. And then you click P and you do selection. And now they're split. But what's the funny part? They are two separate objects. But look at this. At the material. This one uses, I'll call it something else. I'll call it 1ZX, I don't know. And that means this one will be renamed too. You see? And that is because they use the same one. That's what we're trying to do. So whenever you can, combine UV sets of different, but don't do unwrap now. Don't do unwrap now. Or, everything we did will just be stupid. Because if you select everything now and you go into tab, you see they still align. But if you were to unwrap now afterwards, this will be here. And then you check it all together and you see it's one inside of another. So you don't want to do that. Let me double check everything again. It's good. Okay, so once we're done with this, select everything, shade smooth, like we did before. Export it. I don't know, we can export it as low shirt shem. I will know what it is. Just find a good naming convention that works for you. This one works for me. And now let's go on to something interesting. So I told you that I'll show you how can you do engravings and stuff. I don't know if I told you, but I told you something interesting, and that's something interesting that works also on swords, on metal armor, on everything. So do you know when you have a sword, for example, and there's a Nordic engraving in it? This is how you do it. But we're not going to do it on a sword. We're going to do it on a scarf. Just so you see. Okay? We can select everything here. It doesn't matter. We can select everything, and you can go to UV and you can go to export UV layout and export it on your screen as, I don't know, UV tutorial. this is one way of doing it. There's also another way you can do it, and it is if you go into Substance Painter and you go into File, New. This is even better way. You go into 4K because you'll get the texture size that you want. Also in here, sorry guys, I forgot to tell you, but in here, if you want 4K UV, this is basically your UV map, and UV map resembles texture. This is what texture goes onto. This is like a skeleton of texture. If you want it to be much bigger quality, you go click X here. It's in the UV layer. You go new and you type in the resolution that you want. So 496, 496. Okay. And you'll see everything changed and the background is black. So now we have to export it again. Export as, what did we call it again? UV tutorial. And that's okay. But a better way is if you go into Substance Painter, you go into, it doesn't matter what you select. You can select anything here. And you want to load in the low poly we just made. Tutorial, it's called Shirt Shem. Okay. And you see, you get this. And we're just going to put some random color in it and go to File, Export Texture. We're doing exactly the same thing as there, 2D view. And dilation must be default background, and you put this all the way to 0. This is what I told you. You remember on the islands when they're close to one another that dilation can spread over to it. This is what I mean. So we go into UV2. I'll call it UV2. No, it's going to probably place it somewhere randomly, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so it exported it. I can also close this, but I'm not going to because I might need it later on. But take a look at this. We'll go into Photoshop now. Where's my Photoshop? It's on the other screen. Okay, so we're in the Photoshop. We go into File, Open, and we want to open the UV thing that we have. So which one we open? You see, this is the Blender one. You can see it. It has wireframes. It doesn't matter. If you can use it, it will work perfectly. Or this is the other one. You see, you can see a bit better with this one. So I'm just going to use this one. Or should I just use Blender one just so you guys... Okay, we'll use Blender ones because a lot of you probably did it like Blender. This one. And the problem with it is because its background is transparent. So what we do is... I have to transfer all of this to the second screen. Okay, so we want to make a new layer. We want to put it below the layer we have, and we want to select Fill Layer, change it to black, fill the color. Now it's the way it's supposed to be. We'll call it BG, so we know it's background. It's I don't know, we can call it base. We make a new one, and this is where the magic will happen. So you select basic pencil, and you switch to white. What you can also do is you can import, I don't know, Nordic roots, for example. Also, we said this is our scarf, right? Look at this. What I can do is, I'm not going to go into detail, but you can also write things. You can do, I don't know, I'll do something like this. You know, when I do it for my mods, I go sometimes crazy with this. You've probably seen it. I did this on forest attire on the shirt, you know, on the leather. I had really insane engravings on leather. This is how I made them. So, as I said, you can also download PNG textures and you just place them here. Only thing that it's important is that it remains white. White or monochrome down to black. Now, let me explain you why do we use white and black. Black is minus 100. White is plus 100, gray is 0. So what do I mean? If you have, look at this on the side. Imagine that this is ground 0, okay? If you use white color, you are here. So you will have like a, how do you call it? This will be at the top height. If you use black color, it will be all the way down to minus. And if you use gray, you're at the 0, so you don't get anything. So you choose either black or white, or you can even choose like a bit whiter gray color, and it will work. But I always go with white and black because I'm lazy. But also, I think I have laces, so I'll just place something with laces just so you guys understand what I mean. I have like entire library of lace here, you see? I'll just place it. I know a lot of you don't have your own texture libraries, and that's okay. You build it up in time if you want to do it. Let's say I want to place something like this. It will probably look off, but you'll see. Look, but it is black, and that is not good. So I click on it, and I click Control and I in the same time to invert it. Then you just rasterize it. What rasterize means is it will bake these filters into the picture. So you just right click and where did I say? Rasterize layer. So you see. And now what you can do also is you can go place more of them. You can make it like really fit one another. It's up to you. I'm just showing you what you can do. Okay, let's say I want something like this. It will it's not the best example, but it will show you what you want to do. And we said which layers are white. It's these top layers. It's not base, okay? We just want to merge white layers into one layer. So we do it like this, merge layers. Base, we can remove the base because we no longer need it. And we want to merge our white and black into a single one. Now look at this. This step is very important. You need to make sure you only have one layer. Go into edit. No, go into image. Go into image rotation and do flip canvas vertically. Now, why do we do this? It will make sense in a moment. Export this as PNG. I always call it mask. Let's call it mask. Mask. And what does this mask do? You will see in a moment. Go into the ZBrush and import the latest model we made. So it is import shirt shemag, I called it. Shirt shem. There you go. Just like before, what you want to do is you want to go into polygroups, auto group with UV. If you click Shift F, you can see what we did. But this time, I want to do something different. What we draw, it will go onto the shemag, but it will not go onto this. So if look what I will do. I'll go geometry, I'll go to crease polygroups. And my idea was to do smooth till I get this. But if we do this, we will lose all of the details we had before on our shirt. We have other high poly model for shirt. You remember that. So what will I do? I'll do something different. I will hold Control and Shift, and I will drag it over the shirt. Okay, so we only have shirt. If you probably drew it from this side and you only have the schema, but it doesn't matter. Make sure you drag over only shirt and you select everything with the shirt. So there's no back parts. If you have straps and stuff, they have to be involved in this too. We go into split hidden here. It is under subtool and it's split hidden. I'll just move this. I don't know if it will show you. So you see the shirt is here, but we don't need the shirt. So we will delete it. We only need this. But if we only have this, when we do bake off the shirt will not have any texture. So we need to import the high poly of the shirt we have. So you cannot just do import, because if you just do import now, it will replace the existing subtool with the one we imported. So you got to go append and you got to go sphere. Then click on the sphere and then we import the model instead of the sphere. So you go into import and it was called high shirt. It takes some time because it's very high poly. You see, and this is the shirt we had that we said we're going to use later. Now we don't care about it anymore. We want to do shemag. Now, since the shemag is separate, we can just do Control D. Oops, I already have some levels of it. You can do Control D, or you can drag this all the way to the top if you have it already. So now look at this. This is the fun part. I want to go up to like 2 million. No, this is too much. 1.3 will do, I think. It's like I'm clicking Control and D in the same time. You can do it here. You see what I did? This here is like a history, but look at this side. Look here. You see, I just clicked this, but with hotkeys, just so you don't get confused. Now, what we want to do now is we want to engrave those things we did in Photoshop into this. Now, if you go into Surface on the side and you go into Noise and you zoom in, so the way you zoom in is, hold on, if you get lost, you just click frame. You hold left click of your button. I mean, you click Alt and you drag with left click and then you let go of Alt. It is a bit confusing, but you get used to it. I do it instantly. So if I don't tell you something, to me, it's already automated and I'm sorry for it, but I'll try to remind myself of it. So we don't want to do it in 3D, although you can do it. If you have a letter and you want it to be really high quality, you can play around with this, noise and stuff, and you can export this, but we don't want to do that now. We want to go into UV. Then you want to go into alpha on off. You see this button here. You click it and you import a mask we made into it. It's like mask PNG. Do you see it? Do you see it? It's showing up. What we did, it's showing up. This is what people use, more experienced people with modeling. They use this for lace. You've seen it in underwear or where not. But you see, these noise, the noise still blends in with our thing and we don't want that. So what do? Go to noise scale, bump it all the way to the top and mix basic noise all the way down or up it, actually down all the way to 0. And there's one more thing, it's called strength. You don't want to do like this. You just want it to be slightly below 0 so it's visible, like this. Alpha scale, it needs to be 1 because if it is 1, let's say this square is 1, it has value of 1 times 1 times 1, right? Because it's a square, every side is same. But if you go on, 1.4, that means it's this big. And you see we lose our detail because our detail was scaled to 1. So alpha scale must be 1. And once you're done with what you have, you click OK. And you see it's here. But it's not the top quality here because you see we had white and black. And there is too big of a difference between it. So there's a pixel around the edges. What you can do in Blender is not in Blender, but in Photoshop, you can blur out the edges. Let me show you. You see the edges. If I would do something like this, filter, blur, Gaussian blur or whatever, Gaussian blur, but not this big. Maybe like this. It will soften the edges. So you see, it's not purely white. It has this gradient color, and that gradient color will be transition here. I hope you understand what I'm telling you. But to me, it's not important. I just want to show you what you can do. Now you see on the side, you must turn off SUV. This is smoothing UV. What it does is it changes the UV we already have of this. And you want to go turn it off and you want to smooth normals to 0. We don't want to smooth normals because it will ruin our texture. So you click apply to mesh. And now the quality of this applied will primarily depend on how much poly you have. You cannot go insane. I would go with, usually I would go with 3 million, 2 million, it works best on it. 1 million is okay. But if I upscale it even more now to 5 million, this will look not good. So instead of going up, there's another trick you can do. You can go into noise again and you can just apply it again. You see? And we get more and more each time you do it. That's also one trick you can use. But let's say, I like to complicate things, guys, but I'm sorry, but I want to show you as much as possible. Let's say you want to have this, but you want it applied to model from Marvel's Designer. So what do? We want to append new sphere, and we will append a raw version of Shemag we got from Marvel's Designer. So how do you do it? You go into Skyrim, folder or 3D folder where you have everything, tutorial. We want to find a raw Shemag. It is here. So this is the raw Shemag we got from, you remember. And now you put it up, so they're close together. You want to hide the shirt because we don't need the shirt. And now, oops, we select low shirt shemag. This is the one we did our things on. You go into project, it's under subtool. It's under subtool, you see. Project all. Let's see what do we get. Maybe it will break it, maybe it will not. Let's see what do we get. We did get it to be exactly the same. Maybe we need to do, 1 second. We need to do a surface again. But we can do it, it's not a problem. You see, it will still show up. But why is it important that we project it? It will come up with these things, it's inevitable. So, because this model is a bit fucked up. But you cannot do the same on the raw version because it doesn't have the UV file. Look, if we were to go into, this is a raw model. If we go into it and you go into noise, you cannot do the same mask we have there. Look, you can upload it, but this is not the same position because in the UV map of this shemag was exactly horizontal square in Marvelous Designer when we make it. You see, but for us, it is like two things, right? So it's different. But I'm just telling you that you can do this. Just so you know, we can delete this one. And let's say let's say I'm happy with this one, although I'm not happy because of the... Okay, let's not do it that way. Let's just leave it like this. It would look a bit... no, it would look really horrible with the other thing. But you can also do, you know, those grids we did? You can do it in Photoshop and you can just go into Surface and you just apply it. And there's also one more thing you can do is you can go into Surface, you can go into Lightbox Noise Makers, and you can find some from here if you want. I don't know, let's say this one. And it should be in UV. So I clicked UV. Let me show you what do we do with this. Okay, maybe if there's a way to hide this. No, you can go to frame here and you can put the scale down and let me see. Where is it? Yeah, here. So it's plugin scale. Plugin scale, you can put it all the way down like this, and you always go with strength to negative if you want it to pop out. And if you want it to go in, you go with positive. So just so you know. Let's say I want something like this, and you click OK. You can also, just so you see that you can also do this stuff here. I don't know where my lightbox is. It just disappeared. Lightbox button. Never mind. I'll go here till I find it. Lightbox. Yeah, lightbox. Okay. So let's say I also have this now, and you can go apply to mesh, and as I said, it will depend on how much polygons you have. Let's go higher, fuck it. Let's see what happens. Apply to mesh. It needs to be a bit stronger. I think I used this once on one of my mods, but I don't know which one. You see, you can have this stuff. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. But we cannot have this poly count. It is a bit insane. So what I did is I deleted every subdivision lower than 7 and every subdivision higher than 7. So I'm back on 1 million. Now we're not done. If you have something like this and you think everything is a must, it's not. You just right click and you get this box and you just drag it back up. And then you can turn this into, I don't know, green metallic again. So you see what we're on about. But since it is the same texture set, high poly models need to be combined. So what do? How do we combine these two? They're not combined. You click on top one, and then you go into merge, and you see this UV, you have to have it done, and you do merge down, and you click OK. And now we export it as high Shem-E shirt. Ta-da! And that's one of the tricks I wanted to show you. And if you look up here, it is the line that says how far the process is. the higher poly count you have, the more space it will take and the slower it will be. So let's say you want like different texture set for every model you make. So scarf its own texture set, shirt its own texture set. When you're done with the entire process, I think you will lose around 100 gigs of your space. It's that insane. These high poly models, they take so much space. Let me see if I can show you. 3D, let's see how much they do for me. They are still not extremely high. It's only 1 or 2 million, but let's see. I'm really curious about this. Tutorial, high pants. Let's see the pants. They're 256. That's still good. But if you go, you know, those professional sculptors, they go really high up. They go into millions, like 20, 30 million polygons. Oh, and that is a huge space. It takes a lot of space. What was I making? Oh, what we can do next is, ignore this. We can go and make hood, and we can go and make belts. Belts I'll do mostly in Blender, I promised. But hood, we can also do it in Blender, but it's not gonna look as good. In my experience, I get the best hoods by making them entirely in ZBrush. That's, in my opinion, that's the best way you can do them. But I think I could show you how we can combine it with Blender without using Marvelous. For example, this hood, it is part of the overcoat, right? But we said we're not going to make overcoat, so we have to make it separately. So it will need to connect somewhere, but I'm still thinking where. It can maybe go beneath the shemagh and then just so that the corners are not seen. So it's like a separate piece. But I'm thinking, maybe we can start. Let's start in Blender with it, and then we'll switch it into ZBrush. I want to show you something. We'll keep this on. It doesn't bother us. So you go to File, Import, and we want to import our fixed. I'm thinking it will be different size. It will probably be way too big or way too small. We want to import our fixed body. You see, it's a bit too small because when we export it in Marvelous, it's not perfect. The exporting size, 1 mil, is not perfect. But we can size up our character. It doesn't matter. So you just click on it, you hold S and you go up. I don't need a shirt. I just want a shemagh. So you can go up here to modeling. You see this tab. So we hide everything that we don't need. Click on the body. Click del on your numpad. So it's like focused on it. And now let's see how can we do it. What's the easiest way? Shift A, make a plane. I think we can make a plane. It will work decently. So when you do GZ, like when after, okay, we'll start from beginning again. Mesh, plane, and then you do GZ, and it can only move on Z axis. And you move it up, GZ again. I don't know, to around here. You don't want to go like this because you expect there to be hair. So you want to have a version that will have hair. Hair needs some space. So once you move it up here, you click Tab and you do Control R. And it allows you to have this line. So you click left, and then you can move anywhere, and you right click. So it always centers it in the middle. And now we want to go up to faces here, and we want to delete one side. So you click on it, and you click X, and then faces. Now look at this. Why did I do it? I did it so we can use mirror modifier. So you click on this, and you go into little wrench on the side, add modifier, and you type in mirror. If you have the older version, you'll already have mirror icon somewhere here. And you want to make sure clipping is on. And then we go back into edit mode. So now, good thing to always do when you do mirror with clipping is you want to select this and you want to click G and then you just drag it a bit and you right click. Just to see if it is connected. Sometimes it is not connected and it goes one through another. Okay, now let's continue. So we want to get the basic shape of our hood, but we don't want to have horrible geometry. So how do we do it? You do GZ, you lower it down, and obviously this is a bit too big, but okay, it doesn't matter. When you model something, you always start from low poly. You don't bump it all the way up and then model it, because you can always smoothen low poly and you can turn it into high poly. But turning high poly into low poly is not equally good. You will not have good results. I didn't do anything, just so you know. Click on it, let me see. Okay, click E and then right click. And then do G, Y, and then move it. We want it to be perfectly, we want to move it only on axis. We don't want to move it like this. You know, if I would move it like this and then you see it's going here. But if, for example, you see this thing up here, if you do click on it and then you do E and then you just drag it like this, it will always be, it is the exactly same as if you're here and then you hold axis, you see. I hope you understand me. So this is what we're doing. Now we want to obviously make it a bit fitting. You can also rotate it. So how do you rotate it? You do R, but you must rotate the entire side. For now, it's not a big deal, but you usually need to hold Alt and then left click. So you select everything, Alt, left click, you see. And now I'm just trying to make it fit. I don't know if this shape is horrible, it probably is, but you'll see what I mean. It will be fixed. And now we want to obviously move the sides towards inside. So how do we do this? I don't know, we experiment. Okay, let's go into front view and we do E again. We move it here and we do S and then we push it down. And you see it's not perfect. So we go here, we push it a bit like this. And you know, you just experiment with it. I'm just moving it in and out, seeing what works, what doesn't. You can also do this. So you select top and bottom and you click F. You click this and F. But the most important thing that you do here is you must have, it must always be quad. You always must have quads. You see, this is a quad. So you must have 4 vertices making one face. Very, very important. And now I'm just making it. Don't worry about this. This is not finished yet. I'm just getting the basic shape out so that it works. I'm thinking about how can it look similar, somewhat similar to the shirt, that not the shirt, but see when you focus too much and you don't know what you're saying. Trying to make it be similar to this hood. So I'm just moving it. You see, this is all extremely low poly, and because that's how you get the best models, best results. So this like this, and this is obviously not finished. So what can we do with this? You can go into let's say we're happy with the overall shape. So this is like the shape that I want to have. I can always go and apply mirror and then go into add modifier and apply subdivision surface. And it will kind of smooth it, but not exactly in a way that I want it smoothed. But we'll also apply this and you get something like this, you see? And when we move it into ZBrush, we're gonna do all the magic there. So what do? Select your hood, click Ctrl I in the same time. And what it does is it deselects hood and selects everything else. Then go X, delete, because we want to delete everything other than the hood. Don't forget to shade smooth it. And export it as hood, low hood. And export. And then what we can do is go into ZBrush. You can continue here, it doesn't matter. Append sphere, you can be cube, it can be everything, but I always append sphere. I don't know why. I learned it that way from making characters. So you go into low shemag and no, it's not this one. It's not shemag. What am I doing? It's low hood. Import low hood. Yeah, there it is. You see it? Okay, but we don't have the characters, so we can see how it looks like, right? So let's go back into Blender. We'll also export the character. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. We delete this, so we need character as well. Let's export the character as, I don't know, test. So we can only see it as a, don't worry about this. So we want to append it here. Whatever you do, you always append the sphere and then import it instead of the sphere. Don't forget it. So we have the body that we can use as reference. Now, if I select hood, I can move it in any way I want. So BMV, what it does is it allows you to go into the move brush. You see, so I can move it here, but oops, I'm doing display on both ends so I can see it easily. Make sure the X is selected so you have symmetry, right? So you can do stuff like this. I don't know, just an example. It's not perfect, but see, I'm just still trying to get it in a shape that, I don't know, I think is good. So I'm just moving it. You can do it however you want. It's completely up to you how you do the design of it. But what I wanted to show you is one more really, really interesting thing. You can also do, you know, stuff like this if you want to make it like cultist stuff. Up to you. Entirely up to you, as I said. You can move this up a bit so it looks like it's part of Shemag. But look at this. If you do Control D to, maybe not, maybe we need to do geometry, crease polygroups so that it doesn't shrink. You know, when you have creases, it won't shrink as much. But we need a bit higher poly count. Why? You will see. Do B and then find cloth pull. You see this? Select it. And what you do with it is it will also kind of simulate clothes, but in ZBrush. And you want to do it with really low poly first. Look at this. I don't know if a lot of people know this, if they even use it. I don't know. I'm trying to get something that I like. And then you can subdivide it again, and then you can go a bit more into detail. So you can do something like this. I don't know. Like this, maybe. Like this. It's, as I said, completely up to you. I'm just showing you what you can do. So we go even higher. And also, I forgot to tell you. If you go into dynamics here, you can change firmness, simulation, strength. It all depends on how will this look like. You see, it's telling you how will these folds be like. So if we go into firmness that is like 1, it will make a lot of small ones, you see. And you can go to like, I don't know, 2. But you don't want to go crazy. You see, because it makes these lines. Maybe 3 is best for me. 3, you can do this up. Self-collision is on. Maybe like this. Maybe put it down a bit. I don't know. It's completely up to you. Play with it until you get something that you like. And also, you can simulate it, actually simulate it. So I'll show you this. Okay, so if you go into dynamics and you need to have where's the collision volume? You need to have this on, and then you click run simulation, but you let go, but you click it right away. And you can also simulate clothes in ZBrush. I don't know if you know of this, but it's interesting. In case you want to simulate it like really good, maybe keep the gravity to like 1. And I don't know, let's see. You know, you can simulate it here too. Maybe manually works best. BMV, and if you want, if you really like doing manual folds, you can also go crazy here. So you can like you can make your own. So how do you do it? You just type in BDS, for example, right? And you do lines. It's pretty simple. But I don't know if I'm happy with this. I'm just smoothing the things I don't really like. But let's say that this is something that I'm okay with. I don't know. It's okay. It's just okay. So what we want to do is you want to buff it up to like, I don't know, even 98K is good because it is very smooth. You can also, if you like, you can also apply surface noise. You know, the noise plug we did earlier. We did it for, no, not the noise plug, sorry. What is it called? the lightbox thingy for surface. Where is it? Lightbox, noise, I think it was this one. It was. And then you go into edit and you do noise plugin scale, you put it down, but it must be in UV. So, you know, you can do that too if you want, but it would be best what would be best? If I first unwrapped it in Blender, so the UV maps would be much better and it would look better. But okay, let's go with something like this. It doesn't matter. We'll texture it later on. But in any way, if you can push textures here, like not textures, but I mean this, you know, like depth, it is better to do it here before we do the bake. But okay, we cannot have everything. Export it as high hood. And we don't have low hood yet. I mean, we do, but it doesn't have any of these creases. So what you want to do is you go to geometry and you see this subdivision. You put it all the way to 1. And maybe not 1, maybe 2. 1 is a bit too low. This is 400. This is okay. But let's try even bigger. 1K. I'm just reading this. I'm reading polycount of this. It's okay. So I'm happy with number 3. You go into export and you export it instead of our low hood that we had. And congrats, you made a hood and you already have high poly for it. And that's it, guys, for this episode. In next episode, we make belts and we will slowly start texturing if we have enough time. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.